In Nethack's Medusa level, you have to cross a sea. Opening and applying a tin of grease will protect your items from the sea's rust and corrosion. The sea itself is filled with dangerous eels and kraken that can grab you with their tentacles, pull you under the waves and drown you. But if you've greased yourself up before crossing, instead the game will print, "The kraken grabs you, but cannot hold on to your greased armour." Be careful though. If you try using a cursed can of grease, yes, that's a thing, the grease will cover your hands instead and your slippery fingers will drop your weapon, leaving you defenseless. It's okay, you can apply a towel to wipe off that grease. And when you've finished crossing that sea, you can put on that towel, covering your eyes to avoid the petrifying gaze of Medusa, all while using a simple hand mirror to use her own ghastly image against her. This short sequence of one small part of the game shows 3 things that make Nethack great. 3 things I think still haven't been put together in another game in the 30 years since Nethack was first released. Let's go through them in reverse order, starting with the towel and what you can do with it. The first of these things is player verbs. Most games decide verbs or actions for you. Click on a sword, it wields the sword. Look at a door, you'll be prompted to open it. These systems are great. They allow you to do things simply without having to look up the controls. But they're not flexible. Games like Arma or Project Zomboid are more flexible. After activating an object, they give you a list of things you can do with it. But Nethack works the other way around. The game has a much bigger list of actions, and you can start your interaction with that verb, not with the object. For example, you first press Shift P to tell the game you want to put something on, then choose what object from your inventory. It's an overcomplicated system that makes Nethack extremely difficult to get into and learn. Just sticking with P, you press lowercase p to pay in a shop and Alt P to pray to your god. It uses every letter on the keyboard twice or more for its multitude of different actions. When I first played it, I got stuck for a few minutes not knowing how to go down the stairs to level 2. It's the greater than key, by the way. No modern game designer in their right mind would ever dream of making a game this clunky, but it's part of what makes Nethack interactive in ways that other games can't hold a candle to. Quite literally.
In Nethack you can dual wield candles, or even eat one.
There's a point to separating objects from their verbs. While most games say, "Here's what you can do with this," Nethack asks the new player, "What do you want to try?" Even though many things don't work, it feels like you can try anything, and the game gives you good reasons to experiment. In Nethack, sometimes it makes perfect sense to use strange verbs with standard objects, like eating a ring or throwing all your money away, or putting on not a pair of glasses, but a towel. Let's look at what this verb flexibility does with an old RPG staple, the potion. In Nethack you can of course drink a potion,
Actually, quaff it, D was already taken.
but it's not always a good idea to drink unidentified potions. So you might try throwing one, letting enemies be your guinea pigs. You can dip things into potions or dilute them with water. And dropping them actually has a use other than just discarding them. Enemies will pick up and use the potions, allowing you to identify them, which might come in handy
If you survive the now invisible orc.
That orc shows it's not just about the player, just like that kraken did back in the introduction. The second thing about Nethack is the enemies. All the things you can do to them, all the things they can do, and how that's more than just bashing each other until one of you falls over. You see, you can talk to the enemies in this game, although to be fair, most of them don't have anything to say. But some of them can be bribed to leave you alone, while others you can Nethack and chill. Most enemies you'll just kill, but the interactions don't stop at their death. You can eat them to gain their powers, or pick up their corpses and wield them as weapons. Similarly, enemies can do things other than just damaging you with their attacks. They'll interact with items. They'll even interact in different ways with you. Nurses will hit stubborn patients who refuse to disrobe, but will heal a naked player. Just be careful a bunch of soldier ants don't show up and catch you with your pants down. Things like this make combat an interesting puzzle when facing multiple enemies. Leprechauns will steal your money and then teleport away, which gets me back to what I said earlier about using strange verbs with standard objects. Throwing all your money out of their reach as you engage them is a viable strategy. Even when enemies get down to straight up violence, they'll do interesting things like that kraken did, trying to drown you instead of just beating you to death. But if you remember, that drowning attack failed because our valiant hero had greased himself up. I'm pretty sure no other game has a tin of grease, let alone multiple uses for one. The third thing that makes this game special is the number and variety of objects. The in-joke is Nethack has everything including the kitchen sink. Literally. The devs added them after getting so many comments about it. Importantly, the objects are not just for show. Like that tin of grease, they have multiple uses, and they react to environmental effects. Your metal items will rust in water, your potions will boil and explode when you're hit by flame. Many objects react to others in special ways. If you have a magical bag that holds more inside than its outside dimensions would suggest, whatever you do, don't put a wand of magic cancellation into it. Most important is the way these verbs, enemies and objects all work together. Sure, many things don't work. You can't drink a book or talk to a wall, and soldier ants can't read magic scrolls. And I kinda lied earlier, you're not even allowed to try eating a candle or a ring. You can't digest them. At least in human form, hint hint. But when things make sense, the game will often respond. The unbelievable thing is there are more of each of these things than in most other games, and yet they can often interact without making the game halt and catch fire. These three big things multiplied by each other make Nethack's closed dark dungeons bigger than any open world could ever be. In many games, complex interactions work from a handful of pieces combining with a few simple rules, the outcome calculated by the computer. Nethack does that too, but many of its complex interactions work because over the years they've handwritten and hand-coded responses to even incredibly rare situations. At times you can't believe the game will possibly have a response. It does. It will print out yet another funny message for you because, as the saying goes, the dev team thinks of everything. Thanks so much, Brett, for some awesome animation. It really made this video work. Thank you. If you want to check out Brett's channel, look at Quackbillion on YouTube. And he's got a Twitter too. So do I now. And if you want to help me out, give me a buck on Patreon. It helps me pay for things like cool artists. And this time patrons get a cool thing like a video with a few criticisms of Nethack and also how I recommend you should play it if you're a new player. But yeah, anyways, thanks very much.